everyone, welcome to Book Chat. My name is Leslie and I am the Reading Machine Coordinator for Monterey County Free Libraries. Today the book that I have that we're going to chat about is called The Crying Book. This book is by Heather Christle. It was published in 2019. It's 200 pages including notes and permissions. And it's a really, really interesting book. I'm going to read the book jacket about it because it gives a really good explanation of what the book is about. In this symphonic work of nonfiction, Heather Christle explores the most human of behaviors, crying. What are tears made of? Why do people cry? And why is this common, crucial act so rarely discussed? Christle unpacks the biological reasons for tears and investigates the influence of crying on art, politics, feminism, race, and culture, all while opening up the intimate personal story of her own tears, from the suicide of her close friend to her family's history of depression to her pregnancies, both planned and unplanned. In these pages, we meet a feminist artist who designs a gun that shoots frozen tears, a moth that takes sustenance from feeding on the tears shed by other animals, and beautifully impractical devices for dealing with grief such as the lacrimatory, an ancient receptacle into which it was hoped a mourner could let fall her hot tears. While Christle enchants us with poetic snippets on these subjects, a powerful investigation begins to accrue, examining how the history of tears is tied up with racist violence, with the stigma of mental illness, and with the ways which glib contemporary images of motherhood fail to reckon with how rich and complicated it actually is. Okay, so this book I read near the beginning of the pandemic. I absolutely flew through it. I remember I was sitting in the doctor's office waiting for my doctor to get there, and I read it during the time that I was waiting for my doctor to arrive. It is one of those books that it's pretty hard to categorize because it just is. So Heather Christle is a poet. You can tell that when you read this book because the language is beautiful. It's powerful. But it's also part memoir because Christle she's reckoning with her own losses and the big upcoming changes in her life, such as her journey to becoming a mother. Christle tells this story through little vignettes, and she doesn't actually stop at examining her own life. She also talks about cultural phenomena such as the Kent State Massacre, white supremacy, and when you add all these things together, you get a really, really interesting, memorable exploration of tears and the act of crying. So I was going to read a few passages out of this. These are short passages because, again, this book is told in vignettes, so you can see like the paragraphs are pretty small. They're like standalone paragraphs, but taken all together, it becomes this really, really interesting book. So I will read you some. Okay. Most crying happens at night. People cry out of fatigue, but how horrible it is to hear someone say, "She's just tired." Tired, yes, but certainly, but just? There is nothing just about it. Tears are a sign of powerlessness, a woman's weapon. It has been a very long war. People have long made occasional reports of elephants weeping emotional tears, though for just as long skeptical observers have retorted that the animals cry only in response to physical pain. Whether or not it actually cries, the elephant is famous for its mourning. In 1999, Damimi, a 72-year-old captive elephant, died of grief following the death of her younger elephant friend, who died while giving birth. According to the BBC, zoo officials said she shed tears over her friend's body, then stood still in her enclosure for days. Eventually, she starved. Despair recognizes its own ridiculousness, its emotional exaggeration. It invites you to say, like Anne of Green Gables, that you are in the depths of despair. It makes no space for shallows. It is especially hard to witness a person crying naked, like Frank O'Hara standing in the bathtub crying, "Mother, mother, who am I?" Crying is its own nakedness, and to see both kinds at once elicits a panic of pity. This is why people offer handkerchiefs to each other. It is an act of care, a restoration of dignity, a small instruction to get dressed. Ugh, I love that. Love it. And going back to despair. When I am not in despair, I can barely even describe it. It is a trap door in my life, a bridge to nowhere. It is only a metaphor, a line, but one I send my love across. So that's where I'm going to stop with those passages. I could read so many more. As you can see, I really have this book tabbed up. For the sake of time, I'm not going to take you through all of those. This is a book that I think, you know, like I flew through it in the doctor's office, but it would really do me a lot of good, I think, to reread it. This is one of those books that I think you could read and reread and reread and always find something new in it to appreciate. And that is why I love this book. And also because it's completely original. I don't know if anybody else has written a book on crying, but that would be interesting to check out. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Chat. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you're reading some awesome books, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.